Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Michael, and I'm exploring all the different ways that stationery can bring me joy. I'm so excited to have you join me for 3 days of amazing stationery-related events that I got to experience last weekend. On Friday, I went to my very first Pelikan Hub that was hosted at the Fountain Pen Shop downtown in Manhattan. And I met a lot of amazing people there and got to have a lot of fun talking about pens, trying out pens, and I even got a free bottle of ink from the Pelikan Company. I also, while talking there with Jesse, who is their on-site pen master, nib grinder, he talked to me a little bit about different pens, and I mentioned that my Vanishing point was feeling a little scratchy, and he had me come back the next day, and I'll talk a little bit about that in today's video. I also got to go the next day on Saturday morning to my first organized journaling event. Michael of the Enchanted Desk, you can find him on Instagram, was hosting a queer journaling event at the LGBTQ Center downtown, and I got to go there. And on Sunday, I got to unbox some Happy Mail from Micah, who is a YouTuber here and online, but also is the artist behind the Cat Collage Club. And I got to receive a lovely package from her and unbox all of the wonderful things that she sent me. And I get to share that experience with you guys as well. So I thought the best way to do this, since I'm technically not a vlogger or have not done any true vlogging videos in the traditional sense, would be to record myself journaling about these in my stationery notebook and kind of show you some footage of the events while I do so with my magic voiceover powers. And so, without further ado, I'm going to send you to VoiceOver Michael and many different Michaels who will be interrupting that voiceover with different unboxings and footage and just general stationery glee as I show you all of the wonderful things that I got up to. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the other side. I started off this stationery weekend by going Friday after work to the Pelikan Hub in New York City. Pelikan is a fountain pen company, and every year they host hubs all over the world to celebrate fountain pens and their new ink of the year. I don't really know much about Pelikan and their pens, but I was introduced to the idea of the Pelikan Hub at a previous ink event that I went to, the Tono and Limbs event at Yoseka. I had met some people in line while we were waiting, and we exchanged, contact information. One of them reached out to me on Instagram and told me about the Pelikan Hub and that I should sign up. And I was really, really excited to, have that connection and to just see what it was about. I took the train from work down to Lower Manhattan. I work in the Bronx, and I walked up to the Fountain Pen Hospital, and there was a line that was starting to form. So we stood in line, I exposed myself as a newbie, and the people in line told me all about their experience with Pelikan and different fountain pens, and it was a lot of fun. The store had closed down and then set up for the event and then reopened, and when you entered, there was a large Pelikan Hub banner. The entire space was there for the people attending the hub to line up and interact with one another. There were some counters and tables set up so that we could chat. People queued up for the event giveaway. It was a box with this year's Pelikan ink, and it was a really nice gift. Here's the gift box they gave us on the day of the hub. Inside was this postcard commemorating the day, and under that was a pad of paper, shrink-wrapped, with some fountain pen-friendly paper inside. And lastly, the Edelstein ink of the year, which was this Apricot Achat color. Once I arrived home, it was time to swatch my new ink. So I gently removed the bottle from the box. They provided these kind of foam stoppers, which I thought was really nice to stabilize the bottle in the package. And the bottle is really beautiful. It feels like a very thick glass, and the apricot color really is highlighted through this clear bottle. I got out my trusty ink notebook, flipped to the next available page for my full bottle ink. I put a craft post-it behind the page just in case there's bleed through, although with the Midori paper that is a very rare thing to happen, but better safe than sorry. And then it was time to swatch the ink. So one of the things I've learned on how to best swatch inks in my journey is to not dip your muddler or whatever swatching implement you're going to use directly into the ink so that you don't contaminate it. And so I have these eyedroppers, and I'll take a couple of drops of the ink and place them here on the paper, and then use this glass muddler to swirl the ink around and create my ink swatch. This apricot color is really, really beautiful. It goes on pretty smooth. It's a little wet, not the wettest ink that I've worked with, but pretty wet. There are some inks, when you put them on the paper, it just soaks in immediately. It's so dry, and that's not what happened here. I was able to get a pretty decent swatch right away. I always want to make sure that I have a good swatch with lots of layers, some thicker than others, and I'm using the end of the muddler to kind of create a thicker blotch right there, although I just realized that I dipped that muddler straight into the ink, so I have not learned my lesson as well as I would like to think I have. Don't do like me, people. Keep using the eyedropper. I'm then, just dipping my Kakamori pen right in there and writing the name of the company, so I always put the brand of the ink on the paper. And so here I am writing Pelikan and Edelstein because that is the name of the ink officially. I'm assuming the Edelstein is kind of a line of inks that Pelikan makes, and writing Apricot, Achat, the color name here as well. Even with writing with the dip nib, it is pretty wet. It goes on really easily and shows up. Obviously, the writing concentrates the ink more, so a little darker, and looks really, really beautiful. This is a lovely fall color. I'm going to pull it up here to the camera. Not really a lot of shading or sheen in this ink at all. It's a pretty straightforward color, but it is really, really beautiful. And I could see myself using this in the fall. After we all opened up our gift boxes and kind of basked in the amazing apricot glow of our new ink, that's when the real fun began. People started to take out their notebooks, their different planners, their traveler's notebooks, their Midori notebooks, and Hobonichis, and started swapping pens, little ink samples. It truly became a bustling community of people sharing thoughts and ideas and different pens that they had with each other. I walked into this not knowing much about Pelikan pens, but I've walked away knowing a lot. There was a man there named DJ who brought a very extensive Pelikan pen collection. He had some lovely Pelikan pens, some very rare ones, and he let me and others write with them. I bumped into somebody who I had met at the Arushi seminar that Yoseka had put on. And he is an amateur nibmeister, and he had stacked some nibs and done some interesting grinds and allowed us to write with his pens. I bumped also into a woman named Janine, and we connected over having YouTube channels, and you should really check hers out. I'll link it here. She has some great videos about different types of pens and why she loves them, and also an interesting series where she's measuring or weighing ink bottles as she uses them to see how much ink actually gets used, which is so practical and informative. But she showed me her Pilot Elite pen, which I was obsessed with. It reminds me of lipstick tubes from the late 80s, early 90s that I remember my mom having. You kind of pull the nib out of the longer cap and then post it. It's such an interesting pen. But people were just openly allowing everyone to try out their different pens, their products, even ink samples. I myself had brought my Esterbrook Esty as the nicest pen that I own, and I brought my Pilot Prera, and I connected with somebody else who had brought theirs because, as we both agreed, it is a great daily writer. And it's just so warm, and I'm full of such gratitude to be able to be in a space with everyone in, a physical room where we're really just connecting with one another over our shared interests and our hobbies. And it's one of the things that I love about stationery and fountain pens is that it's an instant community, and I'm so, so thankful I got to be a part of that event. The next morning, I got up and grabbed a coffee and took a lovely walk through the fall foliage in my neighborhood to get to the subway to head downtown to the LGBTQ Center on 13th Street, because I was going to be attending a Queer Junk Journaling 101 session hosted by Michael of The Enchanted Desk. This was an event that I saw advertised on Instagram because I followed the Enchanted Desk page as well as some other stationery pages that had been advertising the event. And having never been to an official journaling meetup outside of a couple of people, I was very excited to come together and meet others at my very first large-scale journaling event. After getting off the subway and walking down the street to the LGBTQ Center, I made my way upstairs to the floor where the event was taking place in the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, which is a volunteer bookstore that is housed within the LGBTQ Center. It was a great space. I did have to wait for a little while because I got there very early. The teacher in me wants to make sure that I am very on time, but also the event was limited to, I believe, 21 spaces. And so I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to have a seat. Maybe I got there a little too early, but there was another individual there with me who it turns out was also an educator, so it was very hilarious. They later joked to me that they knew I must have been a teacher because I was also there very early. But the space was lovely. They had very long tables set up in the bookshop area. Michael was there setting up. The owner of the store was there, and it was just really, really lovely to kind of get myself geared up. On the tables were gift bags, and so when you claimed your spot, you also got to have a bag full of different donated materials and or materials that Michael purchased for the event, and it was really cool to see all of the things inside. So I thought I would break down all of the goodies that I got from the Queer Junk Journaling event that I went to, hosted by the Enchanted Desk. So let's take a look. Well, first, let's make some noise for the lovely bag from Esterbrook. And let's jump in. So I believe this was a little bag with some stickers from Kubo and Lucy, which is a stationery store, I think, in LA. It has a little New York stamp there. You can see the Statue of Liberty, a taxi cab. Kind of goes along with the sticker here on the envelope. And when you opened it up, here inside were some flake stickers. I don't think I noticed these at the event. Super cute. Pencil, marker, some washi. That is a page from a journal. Love that. Oh wait, I think this is the pencil and marker here. And that is in the design as well. Very lovely. So there was that. A bunch of these New York themed bumper sticker style stickers, I guess. It's like one long strip. But, oh, okay. This one is Kiss Cut. Oh, each of the little, that's nice. So this one, each frame is Kiss Cut. This one is one giant strip. And then this is a postcard of the same image. And then in here, can I get it out? Oh, it's a little notebook. Oh my gosh, it's sticker release paper. Okay, well that is very, very adorable. What a great donation. I believe that Kubu and Lucy donated this, I think, on his Instagram. He mentioned that. So there's that set. And then another postcard. New York City, which I think is the stamp that was on the front of this bag. Love that. And I believe there's also a vinyl sticker of the same design. So cool. Gosh, this whole little package was amazing. Definitely think that that vinyl is going on my New York City travel journal. Then there was this collection that had this on it. Trinket Party mystery scraps from trinketparty.com. And in here were just an assortment of stickers and paper, these cool vintage Halloween style stickers, a tarot sticker, magic mail, which I think I've gotten Happy Mail from somebody with this sticker on it. I might have this in sticker release paper somewhere, which is now funny that I have an original one or an unused one. Some cool pieces of scrapbooking paper. That one's foiled. A little like nameplate, a rainbow, a fun mermaid, celestial, a word search. Yeah, this is all just lovely. So really cool mystery scraps. I wonder if they sell these in their shop, which would be a really cool thing to buy because this was pretty quality. Go check out their website. There were these 2 pine berry sticker sheet papers. One with these like fall bears and one just like cozy reading. Definitely will get a use for both of these. Apricot sticker sheet. Love that. From Esterbrook, there was this blotting paper, and I saw some people cutting out this dinosaur in their spreads. Really cool. Some things from Pipsticks. Let's see, the sheets we got were like a good morning newspaper coffee set, just some rainbowy hearts. Hopefully I'm good in frame. Just a kind of sticker rainbowy set, hands and sticker sheets. Some New York pigeons. Hey, I'm walking here. Just very rainbow themed all together. Love these New York themed tickets. I'm kind of in love with this one. This cherries and hearts little set. And then I think this is just a postcard, but it is foiled. Really cool. That was an awesome little collection from Pipsticks. Really cool. And then there was this, I don't really know if I could get this in frame well, but this My Mind's Eye Paper Goods Wildflowers collection, and it's just sheets. Maybe I'll do it long ways. With some alphabet stickers. And I think Michael from the Enchanted Desk said he found this online. He purchased this one. It was like discounted, so he could get it. There was a circular sticker here that he put his logo over, which I put in my spread. And then he had brought many items, like kind of destashing some of his stationery items for us to use. And I grabbed some of these airmail stickers that I thought were really great for the spread that I made, and I got some extras. This sample of a tape with some Kiss Cut stickers on it. This leaf sticker sheet, and this travel one as well. And then there was some artistic paper that I thought was interesting. And so I kind of just put that all together with a clip that I had in my Delphonics bag. And that is all of the lovely things that I got in the gift bag, as well as some extras that I picked up from his de-stash table at the event. And I'm sure I'll be using them, some of these items, in the spread that I'm making to commemorate this weekend. And yeah, it was such an amazing event and so many awesome little takeaways. Once we got settled in and everyone had arrived, Michael gave a short presentation on the history of junk journaling, or just journaling in general, where people put in different pieces of ephemera and collect lots of different items to stick into their journals. He discussed a little bit about what is junk journaling and, the debate of it being used as a umbrella term for any kind of journaling. And after giving us some other samples from other Instagram, accounts that feature their journaling and some famous junk journalers, he kind of let us have at it. So it was really fun to get started. There was glue and scissors on all the tables, and he had brought also some items that he wanted to destash, and everyone was just diving in, and whether it was their first time junk journaling or they were pros, it was just little bits of paper flying everywhere as people started journaling. It was really great to be journaling in the same space as so many other people. People were asking each other questions. We were having conversations about different art mediums we enjoy, our history with junk journaling, scrapbooking, all kinds of things. And most people ended up creating spreads that asked for people to write their names or, to sign it in some way. And that was a lot of fun to see happening. People were also, like the Pelikan Hub, so generous with the items that they brought. I had brought my Delphonics bag with some washi tape, and, I brought cards that people could take samples if they wanted. Other people had whole giant caboodles full of supplies that they were generously sharing with each other. There were Tombows, sailor pens, glitter pens, all sorts of things flying around the table. And it was just so lovely to see the magical spreads everyone was creating. Once we had signed each other's journals and cleaned up, we took some photos, and yet again, I'm touched by the amount of community that was created in that space. So many people shared contact information with each other. This event is actually going to become a monthly meetup, and the energy in the room was just so positive and so uplifting, and people sharing within the same hobby just really, again, brought a smile to my face. And I'm really looking forward to the community we've created and to get to journal with these people again in January. After leaving the Queer Junk Journaling event, I popped back over to the Fountain Pen Hospital and met with Jessie, who took a look at my Pilot Vanishing point and was so generous to give it a really quick tuning to kind of make it write a little bit more smoothly, and in doing so took it from an extra fine to a fine point. This is my Pilot Vanishing point in an extra fine nib that was so generously gifted to me by Simone, Planner Coven here on YouTube. And when she gave it to me, she mentioned that there was a little bit of feedback on the nib. And so I decided to try and have someone take a look at it to see if that could be corrected. And so when I took it to the Pelikan Hub and Jesse felt it, he was like, oh, I definitely can see what the issue is. And when I went back the next day, this Saturday after the junk journaling event, he did a quick tuning to it and also cleaned the nib unit so that it could take out any, clogs or anything that might be in there, because he thought that might be the problem as well. And after a quick tuning, he made it write so smoothly. He also asked me if I wanted to keep it an extra fine, and he opened it up a little bit so it's leaning more towards a fine nib now. And it writes so smoothly, and the ink comes out in such a lovely flow. And I am so grateful to Jesse at the Fountain Pen Hospital for letting me come in the next day to have this taken care of. And it writes like a dream. And I owe it all again to this lovely stationery community that I got to meet him, talk to him, and have him make this pen truly become my everyday writer. And with that, I went back home to kind of give this little writing sample. You can see how lovely it is writing. And that led me into the last day of the weekend. Sunday was another lovely fall day in the city, and it was a day for mostly Happy Mail and one little excursion. I packed my tote bag with some Happy Mail that I wanted to send out to some friends and to some pen pals that I have. I then went and got a coffee after heading out downstairs, and coffee in hand, I walked a little bit through the neighborhood, really enjoying the fall foliage on my way to the nearest mailbox, where I dropped off the happy mail to be sent off to the recipients. Afterwards, I decided to hit up my local arts supply store, Blick, and I went because I had received in the mail, well, my email, 25% off coupon, and I know that Blick also has a deal where if you buy 6 or more Tombow markers, you can get a reduced price on each individual marker. So I figured with that policy and with this coupon, I could add 6 new Tombows to my collection with some savings in my pocket to do so. And so I thought that would be a really fun thing to do. So I went, after checking which markers I had, and decided to get some colors that could really round out my collection. After securing my new markers, I decided to head back home and swatch them in my trifold in my stationery traveler's notebook to update which colors I had. And then I felt like it was going to be a great time to unbox some happy mail that I had received recently from Micah here on YouTube. She also is the illustrator behind the Cat Collage Club, as I mentioned. And she had reached out to me on Instagram saying that she had some blue inks that she wanted to send my way because she knew that I would appreciate exploring some new inks, and they were not a color that she particularly found herself reaching for. It was such a lovely gesture, and I was so excited to accept some happy mail from her. And when I tell you that opening up this box was such a fun moment, and I had saved it for the weekend because I really wanted to savor it without the impending doom of work the next day looming over me. And it was so amazing. She wrote me the loveliest letter full of illustrations that I'm going to cherish. I think I need to frame them. They're so, so adorable. I photocopied the illustrations on a color printer so that I could cut them out and include them in my spread that you see me creating, but the originals are so lovely and I will cherish them forever. She also sent me some PET tapes and so many ink samples. When she messaged me, she said, "Oh, I have a blue ink bottle I'd love to send you." And this was a myriad of bottles and some, like, over 12 samples of ink that I am so excited to get to play around with and explore and see new colors. And it brings my heart so much joy to see all of these amazing things, because it's just another example of a connection that I've made here on the online stationery community. And so I wanted to capture some of the inky fun that I had with the samples she sent me here. Welcome to some ink swatching from the lovely happy mail sent to me by Micah. As you can see, she sent me a lot of ink. I believe 12 bottles of some samples, and then 2 15 milliliter Colorverse inks, and about I'd say a fourth of this Robert Oster ink. So much so that I believe for one video I'm going to keep it to swatching 6 of them, but I just wanted to show the amazing level of generosity that she had in the happy ink that she sent me. I'm so grateful. This is going to provide me many hours of some inky fun, and I am so excited to try out all of the lovely colors that she sent. So I picked 6, some that I had mentioned in the comments of videos that she had made that I really enjoyed, some that I had written as just from watching her videos and other ink videos, inks that I was really interested in swatching and playing around with. And so I'm going to do 6 of those today on this page in the ink sample section of my fountain pen ink notebook or journal. So let's get started. I have my muddler here to create a little swatch of the ink, and my Sailor Hokoro dip pen with the medium nib. And I actually believe it was Micah who uses this muddler and mentioned the Etsy seller that she got it from on her page, and then I went and bought one myself. So I am ever inspired by all of the amazing things that she does here on YouTube. So let's start with Diamine Earl Grey. That is a really beautiful gray color. Diamine Earl. I can never tell how to spell gray. This one's with an E. I love Earl Grey tea. It is one of my favorite teas, so just by that association alone, really interested to try this out. Also love a good gray ink. And it's just a very solid gray. I can tell there's going to be a little bit of shading here in the writing where it's thicker. But so lovely. And not quite as confident in my artistic abilities as Micah, so this is where she might come in and do a drawing, but I will not be doing that today. Maybe one day, but really love the kind of cloudiness and the fogginess that that gray has. Quite lovely. Let's try this Van Diemen's Kookaburra Crest. Love this name, Kookaburra Crest. Seems like it might be a kind of a brown, but let's see. Oh, nope, I was wrong. Van Diemen's. Kookaburra. I'll make sure I spell that right. Crest. Now you'll have to forgive me because, as I've mentioned, I am red-green colorblind, and that causes me to not see colors or describe them super accurately sometimes. Draw you in here. And for the life of me, this seems like a mauve-y kind of brown. whatever it is. I'm loving the different levels of shading that are happening here. A little thick amount of ink, but hopefully when it dries, I'll be able to see. It does look very nice next to that Diamine Earl Grey. Next up, Rohrer and Klinger. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Rohrer and Klinger, Blue-Eyed Mary. Well, that is a very interesting blue. Wow. Roaring Klinger, I believe. Blue-eyed Mary. That is a really beautiful blue ink. With some really great shading on it. Bring it up closer to the camera. You can just see how it's drying, how it looks in the writing. Really cool. And it came on very bright, but as it's drying, it's starting to kind of mute itself a little bit, look a little more teal almost. And that Van Diemen is starting to dry quite interestingly. My eyes see this as a very mauve-ishy kind of brown. I don't know if that's an accurate description, but that's what I'm seeing. Next, we're going to do I believe BPC is Birmingham Pen Company. Arabica Bean. That is a very interesting brown. Kind of get up closer there for you. I really like that. It's a little warmer than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if it's the most favorite brown that I have in my collection, but very pretty. Of course, you may come into my comments and say that that is not quite a brown, but alas, what am I to do? Then we're going to do this Lennon Toolbar Red Beans. This is a sample from Yaseka, which I think is quite amazing that this traveled from New York to somebody, if not directly to Micah. I don't know if perhaps someone sent this to her, and now it's made its way back to New York. Red beans. Whoa. That is really cool. That is a fascinating reddish, slightly brown leaning color. It really does look like red beans, especially here where you see where it's getting lighter to darker, almost like the skin being peeled off and exposing the next layer of the bean. That is a really beautiful color. Hopefully I am showing that correctly. And then last but not least, I remember being very excited when I saw Micah using this on her channel. I wrote it down as an ink to get a sample of one day, and I think this is Birmingham Pen Company's Root Cellar. Such a cool color. This like yellowy orange. Brown. Wow, so amazing. The shading on that is incredible. Oh, I'm so excited that I got to swatch this. I'm gonna let this dry completely and then come back just to see the samples completely dry. All right, well, the ink has dried. This is such a lovely collection of inks. The Diamine Gray is a really great kind of flat gray. I could see myself using this in a pen as a daily writer. The Van Diemen's Kookaburra Crest is kind of this smoky brown kind of color. And there's a little bit of a blue hue, and I don't know if I'm getting that because it's next to the Rohrer and Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary, but it's very interesting. Also like this as an accent color. The Blue-Eyed Mary is a lovely blue. Really excited by that. Lots of shading. The Arabica bean is a lovely, like, reddish brown. Lennon Toolbar, again, the shading on this one's so cool. Definitely does look like red beans. And I am loving the shading and the properties of this Birmingham root cellar. Such a cool color. Like, look at the different levels and depth of the color as it layers on that. Just amazing. So excited to eventually swatch the other 6 colors that Micah sent me. Again, want to give her a shout out for the most lovely happy mail. Thank you so much. And as she says, I'm going to continue to have some lovely inky fun. Shout out to the Cat Collage Club, who these stickers come from. Stationery Cat Sticker Sheet, which was a collab with Miso Paper. And I'm definitely going to be doing some lettering in here, denoting that these samples came from her. Thank you for joining me for these swatches. So fun, so amazing. As I mentioned, I have even more fun to come with the other samples and bottles of ink that Micah sent me, and I am so excited to get into seeing what the other colors look like, and to, perhaps inspired by her work, do some illustrating of my own and coloring in with inks. I think this is another prime example of how I've mentioned multiple times throughout this, the community that forms around stationery, and whether that be a community in person, like the first 2 events that I went to this week, where I was, in a space with people and, getting to enjoy each other's company and talk about fountain pens, inks, journaling in general. I also think that the online stationery community is also such a powerful and wonderful thing, as I have come to know 6 months ago, venturing out and trying to create this channel and just kind of put myself out there to talk about the things that I love and bring me joy. There are so many people on the internet who have the same hobby and may not have access to in-person events like the ones I am so lucky to be able to go to because I live in a major city. And we've created our own community online, and there are so many people daily who comment on videos that I've posted, or myself commenting on other videos and people responding, where we share in the passion and joy of our hobby together. And it's so amazing. There are people who I've met through Instagram and TikTok who have given me amazing suggestions, who have asked me questions that I've been able to answer, who reach out and want to offer up happy mail or exchanges, and all of this just simply because we enjoy the same thing and because we get to talk to each other about it. The amount of generosity and just true camaraderie that comes forth is amazing, and I just feel so lucky that 8 months ago I didn't have access to all of the wonderful people that I do now, and it's all because of paper, pens, pencils, and a little bit of washi tape. So we've come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for joining me as I got to experience so many different stationery events here in New York City over the weekend. I love New York City in October and November. The fall is my favorite season, and it just felt so lovely to have this fall stationery weekend. The weather was perfect. The leaves were leaving, or leafing, I guess I should say. Everything about it was just lovely, and I hope that you enjoyed coming along for the ride. I would love to know what kind of events or things you've gotten up to recently as far as it comes to stationery. Do you have any journaling groups that you join, or pen groups? Did you get to go to the Pelikan Hub? What was your experience like? Do you find any great deals at the craft or art supply stores in your area? Anything stationery related that you've gotten up to, I'd love to know about it in the comments. Again, thank you so much for coming along. I really, really appreciate you joining me. I hope that you have a really great rest of the day, whether it's 5 minutes before you go to bed or you have a full day ahead of you. I hope that those moments are wonderful. Until next time, it was really, really great seeing you, and keep exploring all of the possibilities that a blank page can bring you. Bye-bye.